One of the things I love to say that we do at the Vixen Gathering is help women design their business around their dream life. Key being dream life. And I think most of us want to enjoy life and have fun. Am I right? I'd love to hear from you if I'm wrong, but I know I definitely love to enjoy what I'm doing. And so, yeah, we make a lot of decisions in business about strategically, we should do this, we should do that. But let's not forget the things we want to do. Sometimes some of the best things we do spur from what we want to do. And I wanted to have a podcast. Introducing the Vixen Voice, a podcast for ambitious women entrepreneurs ready to move into their feminine essence, live their truth, and unlock their full potential. I'm your host, April Roberts, and each week I'll be interviewing inspiring women who decided to take a leap of faith to pursue their dream. Women who believe that they were born for something bigger. Hi, and welcome back to a very special episode of the Vixen Voice. And I say very special because this is our 100th episode. I don't know where the time went. Anyone else feeling like that about the last year? So I thought I'd just kind of hop on here and stream of consciousness, share about the journey. And I'd really just like to share, how grateful I am for all of you who listen, because without you, we would not have the Vixen Voice. And I love so much when I meet you or when you DM us or you write a comment on YouTube or anywhere, just sharing the value that you get from our guests and our episodes. That means so much more to me than you will ever know. It's absolutely the best gift ever. So if you happen to be watching this 100th episode on YouTube, or if you're listening on Apple or Spotify, go just drop a comment. Go to YouTube. You can find this episode, drop us a comment. Find me on social media. You can find me at Vixen Gathering on Instagram. My personal account is at April Rochelle Roberts. That's Rochelle. And I'd love to connect with you, know who you are, know why you listen, and what your favorite parts are. That would mean so much to me. It's really important for me to really know who you are. I love meeting new people. That's one of my favorite things about the Vixen Voice. And I love hearing your courageous stories, your ahas, your realizations that you're not alone and that other people think what you thought were your crazy thoughts, right? Because we all have them. So anyway, I just want to, from the bottom of my heart and with all of my being, thank you for being with us on this journey of 100 episodes. It has been amazing. Of course, as always, sometimes frustrating. I'll be honest, the only frustration is when technology doesn't work. But as we all know, that can be a challenge. And I just have grown so much during this process, and I really wanted to share a lot of that today, just like all of you open up and share your hearts with us. Thank you so much. I also want to share my gratitude to everyone who's been involved. Charlie and his team who got us launched, my team, Lexi's in charge now of taking care of all you guests, everyone on my team who's helped with the podcast. And now, of course, we have Haley, who's our new podcast producer. So, a lot of work goes on behind the scenes, and it's kind of great because I get to just show up and focus on you and our amazing guests and what I want to say that day. So I am so grateful for the team that helps the Vixen Voice happen. So one thing that came up for me is to share the value of having a podcast. And these are kind of the intrinsic values that I've found. Obviously, we have a business. It's a business endeavor because hopefully some of you listen to me and think, wow, I want to get coached by her. Let me go check out the Vixen Founders Collective. Or I have a company doing over 7 figures. Let me see if April would be a good consultant for us. Or let me have April come speak to my group. I mean, which by the way is one of my most favorite things to do, along with the Vixen Voice Podcast and coaching. So, obviously there's that component. That's why most people start podcasts today, especially if you're listening to this. You're likely a high achiever. You're likely running a business or wanting to run a business, or you have a part-time business and you might wonder, hey, does a podcast make sense for me in business? And I'll talk about a couple of those things, but I'm going to share with you the Vixen Voice for me was really just something I wanted to do. And I want to share that too, because I think that not everything you do in business has to be strategic. And, if you've listened to me a lot lately or looked into the Vixen Founders Collective, you can see like one of the things I love to say that we do at the Vixen Gathering is help women design their business around their dream life. Key being dream life. And I think most of us want to enjoy life and have fun. Am I right? I'd love to hear from you if I'm wrong, but I know I definitely love to enjoy what I'm doing. And so, yeah, we make a lot of decisions in business about strategically, we should do this, we should do that. But let's not forget the things we want to do. Sometimes some of the best things we do spur from what we want to do. And I wanted to have a podcast. So part of it is just because of what I do personally. Part of it is what I was doing before. So I'll just deep dive into why I started a podcast for you. One, during the pandemic and staying home, I totally became a YouTuber. Like I was on YouTube. I had my shows that I followed, I watched. I haven't had cable, I think, since 2019 because I was on streaming services and different things. And, I just loved seeing people come on and share valuable information, but also share their lives. And I think we all started, really connecting with these people. And when I started the Vixen Gathering, it's because I wanted to make impact in a different way. So I really thought that having a podcast would be a fun way of doing that and different, because in my financial planning business, I had a TV show and I also did live TV. I was on Great Day Houston, which is the morning talk show there for a while, and it was live, and talk about scary when you go live. But here's a little thing, and if you're in a highly regulated industry, you know what I'm talking about. I was a fiduciary financial advisor, which meant I couldn't give broad scale advice on TV because I gave financial advice that was catered to the client in front of me, right? So doing TV as a financial advisor was very tricky. Now, when we were doing our own show, it was produced, everyone involved understood what I could and couldn't say. And so that was a safe space. When I went to do live TV shows and get interviewed on other spaces, not so safe. So sometimes they would ask me questions I couldn't answer. And what happened was a lot of what I was saying was repetitive. And I don't know about you, but especially during the pandemic and everything that went on and just the divisiveness of our country at that time, which is interesting because if you talk to other Americans around the country, you'll find that we're all pretty similar. We're not really divided. So I just interviewed Kirsten Flory and she was amazing. And her parting advice was have a real conversation with someone one-on-one and be curious about them and get to know them. And you'll see that we're not all that different. And I totally agree with that. But if you think back to that time, like you had to be careful what you said, you had to be careful what you talked about, you couldn't challenge certain things. Of course, we were stuck in our homes, like we were just restricted in so many ways. And I don't know about you, but freedom and freedom of choice is the ultimate for me. And so I'm certain that you felt that during the pandemic. I mean, maybe some of us just found that we're a little bit more homebodies than we understood, right? I used to never be home till the pandemic. Now I feel like I'm always home and I kind of like it. I'm not going to lie. But there was that missing element of freedom. And as I'm very into God and spirituality, and I do spiritual healing. And then I was doing a lot of meditation, and I started to realize how close collectively our throat chakra was. And a lot of the healing work I do helps with that when I'm working one-on-one with clients. And I did a lot of work to clear my own chakra because I feel like speaking our truth is so incredibly important. And so one compelling reason I wanted to do a podcast, and it didn't have the name The Vixen Voice back then, that was come up collectively with my team. So I actually love the name of our podcast. And I love when you have a creative team and you create things together. That's also one of my favorite things. But anyway, I wanted to have a podcast so I could talk about whatever the heck I wanted. If you want to know the honest truth, that was my driving force. So I wanted to make an impact and touch women's lives in a different way. And I wanted to talk about whatever I wanted. We literally had no other strategy than that. And if you go back to the beginning, you're going to laugh because it is a wild ride through my mind. Our first guest was a stylist talking about how to dress. Our second guest was one of my spiritual healers I worked with, talking about the dark night of the soul and women and pleasure. The third episode was with Rochelle Carey, who's an Emmy-winning reporter who gave up her journalist career to adopt her son, and just an amazing career, and the impact she's making on women and their choices they make today is just awesome. And, I basically just invited on people I liked and that I was curious about. So if we think about Kirsten's advice that she just gave, have a conversation with someone and be curious, that's exactly how the Vixen Voice started. There was literally no more strategy than that. And because I know many of you run a business, you understand that you have to have marketing strategy, right? And so you have to do certain things. And I would just tell my team, okay, fine, you can tell me what to do over there, but at the Vixen Voice, it's my sandbox. That's what I called it. I'm going to interview who I want and I'm going to talk about what I want. Like, that was our agreement, right? Like, this is my little play box where I get to do whatever I want. It's totally mine. I can be as creative. I can bring on who I want. We can talk about what we want, etc. And of course, that evolved over time to being a little more strategic because as our business grew, I understood what my clients wanted to listen to, right? And our top priority is bringing you the topics you want to hear about. So I post all the time in Abundant Businesswomen. Once a week, we post asking what you want to hear. So if you're not a member of Abundant Businesswomen, go join our Facebook group now. It's in the resources section. And just tell me, what do you want to hear from us? So anyway, lately I've heard hiring, recorded that on Monday. Pricing, recorded that today, right? Imposter syndrome, that'll be coming up. So really, we want to know from you, what do you want to hear about? And going forward, because most of our clients are business owners and many of our listeners are, and if you're not one, please drop me a line and let me know what you do. Again, so we can cater content to you. But, I'm really thinking we'll be 60 to 70% business oriented. A lot of that is female entrepreneurs just sharing their stories as we have been, but talking to topics and that. And then I'd say 30% just topics that affect we women. Like when we talked about the choice to have children in your 40s or 50s, when we talked about dating in your 40s and 50s, I know these don't affect everyone out there. Many of you are happily married, already had your kids, etc. But, they're topics relevant to me and a lot of my friends. Just talking about a lot of different topics, being able to tap into our feminine energy. So anything that isn't being spoken about and we're not being real about, that's what we want to bring light to here at the Vixen Voice. Hi, sorry for the interruption. This is April Roberts, and I just wanted to make sure that you knew about the Vixen Founders Collective. What in the world is it? It is our community where we bring together Gen X female founders, and my goal is to create the ultimate business consulting, networking, and personal growth community for Gen X female founders. So if you're wanting to know more, just click on the link below because we're having a lot of fun in there. We are growing our businesses and we are becoming better women. So I'd love to have you join us anytime. Click the link below to learn more, and I'll see you inside the collective. Because I can tell you this, I know in our mastermind and now in the Vixen Founders Collective, it's really amazing when we create this safe space for the women involved to share their fears, to share what they're challenged with, also to share their wins so we can celebrate it. But I don't think many of us, if you think about it, really have an outlet for that because you're so busy with your families, you're so busy with life. Think about, when's the last time you had a deep conversation with your significant other, your kids? It seems to be few and far between. And the other thing I've realized is we're not often listened to. Right? We're not often seen and heard. And so in everything we do at the Vixen Gathering, the Vixen Voice, the Vixen Founders Collective, our Vixen Jet Setter Mastermind, one-to-one consulting, my ultimate goal is that we create a space where you feel seen and heard. And so if you have any advice on this, we would love to hear it. And if you're somewhere in your life where you're not feeling like anyone sees you or hears you, please, I invite you below. We've dropped a link to my calendar. Hop on my calendar and let's chat. I would love to talk to you. And let me know about topics that you're not hearing that are important to you so that we can bring them on the Vixen Voice as well. Because that's really what we strive to do. And by having open hearts, open ears, and open minds, together we can genuinely 100% make the world a better place. You know that at the end of every episode, I challenge you how you can show up more loving today, more loving in the world, more loving to yourself. And, recently I was reflecting because I go to Southern California a lot for different things and it's absolutely beautiful there. I love Laguna Beach. I was just in La Jolla, California, another magical place. We were out in Sedona for the Vixen Mastermind, another magical place where I grew up on the Gulf Coast of Mississippi, absolutely beautiful. I have property and my brother has a home down in Honduras on an island, breathtaking. Like it's amazing just being on the Caribbean, right? So I kind of bounce around all these places. I was in Spain last October. And, when I go to Houston to visit friends and family, that's so fun because I'm around people, that I've known for years and who we love each other. But I love coming home to Nashville. No matter what amazing place I get to go to, I'm so happy when I land in Nashville and when I come home to my home. So one is, our home is a special place we make. But two, I was really reflecting on what I love about Nashville. And I'd really encourage you to think about what you love about where you live and what makes you happy. Because it's so important to focus ourselves on those positive facts and stick with them. I had to really hone the skill and mindset in the last year. Because I think I've shared with you, but I got out of a relationship. I sold my business. I'd already sold my home in Houston and I really had ultimate freedom. And that was from March 15th of 2023 to March 15th of 2024. I gave myself ultimate freedom to do whatever I want. And I was building this business along the way, but I was also doing whatever else I wanted. And I realize that there's so much choice out there, it can become overwhelming. Let's be honest. Sometimes we feel like, I'm stuck here, or I'm stuck in this job, or I'm stuck doing this. And so what I did, I was like, I chose Nashville. So what is it that I love about Nashville? Am I staying here? Where am I going? And it finally dawned on me this week. I love Nashville because the people here are so darn nice. I have real conversations with everyone. Yesterday, a gentleman was here working on my hot water heater, and he was so nice, and he lived in the neighborhood and shared tips with me because I moved to this neighborhood recently. Like, my hair and makeup artist has literally become one of my best friends. Like, we're planning a trip to Europe together. It's so amazing. My landlord, we chat all the time. My next door neighbors are like amazing, totally take care of things when I'm out and about traveling. And for me, that's what makes a place a home, is the people. So I'm sticking here. Like, I love it. So I hope when I was going through that, you were thinking about something that maybe you're thinking, why am I here? Should I do something different? Before you decide to make a change, because we have so many choices in life, it's true, right? And we should celebrate our choices, but instead focus on all the positive aspects and what you love about where you are now. Focus on everything great about your life, about your home, about your family, about the work you do, about your hobbies, about your family. I say that, I don't know why, but as we get older and older, family becomes more and more challenging. I joke because actually my family and I went through a tough period, because we all have crazy busy lives, but now we found the sense of peace and like we love being together. So I love being with my family, but we all know part of evolving is understanding what came from your family and what's really you, right? But that's a whole nother episode. So I really encourage you, again, this is our 100th episode, and to celebrate, focus on what you love and why you're happy where you are. And if you go through that exercise and you can't find anything, then please give yourself permission and the courage to make a change. Because I feel life should be joyful. I feel life should be magical. I know there are things we feel we have to do, but let's not should all over ourselves. Let's not have to do all over ourselves. Let's really think, what do I choose to do, right? I choose to live in this place. I choose to do what I do. I choose to allow people to act this way to me, and understand that you can always make a different choice. Because for me, ultimate freedom came, and this came in the last 4 to 5 years when everything was very tumultuous. Ultimate freedom came when I understood everything is my choice. Sometimes I might make choices that I don't necessarily love, but there's a compelling reason I'm making that choice, and I still made that choice, right? Because I could have made one of the other choices. So I don't know. This is just a huge tenet of my life, and I don't think I speak about it enough. And look, people argue with me. I was talking to Faith, my hairdresser, about this, and she was arguing with me on this topic. Like, I get it. It's a hard concept to digest. But I promise, if you really think about it, like pray about it, meditate, journal about it, when you come to the realization that everything in your life is a choice and you can choose differently, it is 100% the ultimate freedom. And you don't have to jump around and do different things. And you don't have to jump around and go different places. And you don't have to jump around and get new friends. You just have to understand you are in control. It's true. So I didn't realize I'd talk about that this episode, but it's a value very important to me. And I know it's a hard concept. I totally get this. I've had this conversation a lot lately, but I'm going to keep having it. Because I'm going to keep having it with the people I love and who are close to me. I'm going to keep having it with all of you because I love and appreciate you. And I love all my fellow brothers and sisters here on earth. And I just hope we all get to this ultimate freedom and understand, it doesn't matter what political party's in charge. It doesn't matter what the weather is. It doesn't matter. See, I don't even watch news. So all those other things that are on news, right? Like, just really think through all the things we waste time worrying about, being upset about. We are ultimately in charge of our choices. And when we realize that, life is magical and life is joyful. And sometimes you'll choose to do things that you don't really love. And you might choose them because you're doing them for someone else you love, or you choose them because at this time it's the right choice. But when you understand it's your choice, other people are not in control, you're ultimately free. And guess what? All of your fear disappears. This is also a huge topic for me, helping women completely release their fear, because fear is the opposite of love. And as I always say, we need a lot more love in this world. So let's release our fear. Again, I'd love to talk to you if you're struggling with fear. Let's talk about it. These are the two most important topics to me, knowing that you have freedom of choice and living without fear. So I'd love to invite you, hop on my calendar. Let's chat about it. Let's see what you fear. Let's see where you feel you don't have choice. And let's just have an open conversation. I would love to talk to you about that. All right, now we're going to have a little more fun. I want to share 3 things I learned in doing 100 episodes of podcasts. So here's what's fun. We hit top 5% before we hit 100 episodes, and we hit 100 episodes before we hit our 1-year birthday party. So next month, we are going to have the Vixen Voice 1-year birthday party. We had a launch party last year, and if you were there, you're going to know that I wore this dress. So anyway, we're going to have a 2-hour virtual launch party. It is August 22nd from 4 to 6 Central Time. So that's 3 to 5 Eastern, 1 to 3 Mountain, and 12 to 2 Pacific. I like to be inclusive of all. And if you're in another country, I apologize. Plug it in and please join us, because we'd love to have you there. So here's what we're going to do. We're likely going to broadcast live to YouTube, and then you'll have the option to, for a very small fee, to upgrade and go VIP. And that way you can be in the Zoom room with me and our guests. So that's pretty fun. You can be live on the launch party, and we will put it on YouTube. And don't be nervous. Don't be nervous about being on camera. The launch party last year, everyone who attended loved it. Look, we were new. We didn't have an audience. It was pretty much our former guests, our clients, friends, and family. And we had a great time. We gave away amazing prizes. We also broke out into networking groups where you got to know other amazing women across the country. And we got top tips from, I think we had 15 guests of the show on there. And just the energy was amazing. Everyone had fun. It was great. So this is your official invitation. I'd love to have you join us. If you want to just join us on YouTube, no big deal, do it. If you want to upgrade and be in the Zoom room with us, we're going to keep it very easy to do that. We just have to do that to limit the numbers so that we can broadcast everyone. But yeah, I can't freaking wait. I am so excited. I will be flying the team in here to Nashville. We will all be live and we will make it happen. And then we're going to go out and celebrate. So again, August 22nd, 4 to 6. It'll be an amazing time. I would love to have you join us. And also do me a favor. Reach out to us. You can either email team@vixengathering.com. You can put comments on YouTube. You can DM us on social. You can drop a note below. Tell us, who were your favorite guests? Who would you like to have on that birthday party? So share with us if you had a favorite episode, a favorite guest. Of course, we got to make sure it works with their schedule, but let us know, because we are going to be inviting soon. It's going to be totally fun and we're going to have a great time. Okay, so here's the 3 big surprises / things I learned in doing a podcast that have nothing to do with business. Number 1, your parents will watch and listen. So when I thought I'm going to talk about whatever the heck I wanted, I totally forgot that my parents are my biggest fans. So I have to share a funny story with you. If you listen back, I think it was the episode with Rochelle Carey, and we were talking about, women and just the judgments about the decision to have children, the judgments around it, etc., because we were talking about her story. And so I shared a story of how I was at a point in my life where I didn't want kids any longer. And I was with a significant other at the time, and we did have a pregnancy scare. And it turns out I was not pregnant. And, I just shared how I actually grieved that, even though I thought I didn't want to have children. And this is just a unique thing we women deal with that men really can't understand, right? Our reaction around these things. So anyway, we were talking about that. It was a deep, good conversation, but I guess one of the YouTube shorts was cut of me saying that. So I'm at the breakfast table with my parents. I'm like, oh, our shorts are up. And I pop one up and it's that one. And I had never told them about the situation. So talk about awkward at the breakfast table with your mom and dad. And that's the story that pops up that you had never shared with them. So anyway, that was kind of funny. So your parents and everyone else out there will be listening, but I just think the more vulnerable, real, and honest you are, the more you're going to impact people. So for me, it's not about me. It's not about what other people think about me. For me, it's always the value that my guests, my team, and I bring to y'all. And so if we need to be raw and real about something, I'm absolutely going to do that, because if it makes a difference in your life or gives you some comfort, like, I want to have that conversation. So that's number one. Number two, you will learn something every time you record. 100 episodes, every time I've picked up a tip from my guests. That's 100+ tips I've learned in less than a year. Here's the cool part. I've also guested on 30 to 40 podcasts. I learned something every time I was a guest too. So if you're out there and you're being shy about, should I start a podcast? Should I be a guest? Please go do it. It's so fulfilling and amazing, and a good host or hostess is going to make it easy for you. Start out guesting. It's so fun, and you learn something about yourself, about business, about a concept. You take tips from others every single time. So it has totally escalated my learning. Number three, you will make so many amazing friends. Like, I love my guest. I love the host who have had me on their show. There's just some bonding experience in this exercise. And if you want to talk about going deeper with someone, it is a great way to do it. So you're going to just make so many amazing friends. So these are just perks from 100 episodes plus my guesting episodes that I found outside of business, outside of the original purpose, and ways that I've grown as a human being. So I'd love to hear from you. What have you done in the last year that has helped you accelerate your growth? Because I do think we as human beings, we are creators and we are here to evolve and grow. So I'd love to hear, what are you creating? What are you evolving? What are you growing? Again, a great way to share this easily is Abundant Businesswomen, our Facebook group. Go join it. Introduce yourself, share this. You can DM me directly from Facebook. You can also follow us on any social media or make comments in YouTube. And again, feel free to follow my personal Instagram page. I don't post a ton, but if you DM me there, there's not a lot of noise, so I'm going to see it a lot easier. And yeah, I would love to hear from you, because we plan to keep it going. We have our 1 year coming up. We're in the top 5% of podcasts globally. We would love to be in the top 2%, only because it means we're impacting more women's lives, and we plan to keep this thing going. So, we've kind of run through the wild ride of April's mind. Just kidding. It's never ending, but no, I'd love to hear from you and what you'd like to hear, so that we can really customize this podcast and make it something special for you. So again, I love you. Thank you for listening. 100 episodes. Thank you to my amazing team for making this happen. Thank you to God for giving me this opportunity and for allowing me to keep my voice. So don't forget, we want to hear your voice. And please don't forget, the world needs more love. How are you going to show up more in love with yourself and others today? And do not hide your voice. It's a beautiful thing. Can't wait to hear from you, and I'll see you on the next episode. Thanks again for listening to the podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to hit subscribe so future episodes are automatically downloaded directly to your device. And if you want access to today's show notes, including links to all the resources we mentioned, visit vixengathering.com/podcast. Thanks again for listening, and I'll catch you next week for another episode of the Vixen Voice.